Erin. Hi, Robin. It's a long time. Grandma's been a naughty girl about sending you some books because I was afraid of using YouTube. But Daddy said that would probably be a good way to do it so we wouldn't have to stop and start. So today I'm going to read you The Ugly Duckling. So see the picture? Little duck, and it's snowing and it's out of the water. I'm not sure how this is going to work. It's the first time I've ever done this way. But let's see if we can figure this out. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at the wind and the cloud, and it blew all the ducks. Everybody, it just blew everything. Big storm. And then what happened? There's a mama duck and her baby. It says, once upon a time, on a dark and stormy night, a great wind blew down from the hills. It whistled through the woods and across the fields to the river, where it blew a poor mother duck right out of her nest. Oh dear, she said, picking herself up. I must get back to my eggs. She stumbled around in the dark until she found her nest. Then, exhausted, she sat down on the eggs to keep them warm. In the morning, the storm had passed. See? The storm had passed. The sun shines out. Mama duck's on her eggs, keeping them warm and protected. The sun came up warm and bright. The mother duck awoke, and when she felt something move Mother duck awoke when she felt something move beneath her. The eggs were rocking to and fro. She counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. She had only laid 6. But now there were 7, and one was much bigger than the rest. I don't remember that one, she said. 7 eggs. I am a lucky duck. Soon, one by one, the smaller eggs broke open, and out popped 6 pretty little yellow ducklings, but the biggest egg had not hatched. See the little ducklings? They just pop out of their egg shell. And there's how many? Can you count, Erin? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6 ducklings gathered around the big egg and watched as Mother Duck sat on top of them for a day and a night until the egg at last began to stir. Slowly it cracked open, and out tumbled a big, scruffy duckling with gray feathers and black feet. Look! That doesn't look anything like the ducklings, does it? Oh my, said the mother duck. You're a funny one. The other 6 ducklings were a little afraid of their new brother and scurried around their mother duck to hide. They peered out at the big gray duckling as he wobbled out of his shell, gazed around at the world, and smiled. Oh, well, said the mother duck, he looks happy and healthy, and cuddled him to her with the other ducks. That's important. Everybody needs a good cuddle. I know that First thing in the morning, Robin really likes to cuddle with her dad. And I know that first thing in the morning, Erin really likes to cuddle with her daddy too. You guys are cuddle bunnies. Next day, the mother duck led her new family down to the river for a swimming lesson. The 6 little yellow ducklings scampered down the bank after their mother, while the big gray duckling followed clumsily behind. One by one, they jumped in the water. The yellow duckling struggled and splashed, but the gray duckling found his big feet very useful, and he swam right away. So he has big feet, right? So he can, underneath, he can swim like this. The other guys have little feet and they go. The other ducklings tried to keep up with him, but the big duckling was much too fast. Oh, well, said Mother Duck, he may not be a beauty, but he certainly can swim. Look at that picture. There's Mother Duck and the babies and the other duckling. And look at the babies, how they're trying as hard as they can to swim. But you know it's kind of easier if you have the fins. It's easier to swim. One day, the mother duck took her ducklings to visit some friends in the farmyard. The farm ducks were thrilled to see the new yellow ducklings. You see, there's the farmyard ducks, and there's a rooster, and they are really happy to see all the little babes. What little beauties, they said, fussing around and patting them. Then they saw the big gray duckling. What is that? Said an old duck. What a strange, awkward creature, said another. The big gray duckling became shy, and he hid behind his mother. But she was proud of all her offsprings and urged him on, saying, "And this is my big, strong son." The big duckling stuck out his chest and stepped forward, but he tripped over his feet and he fell headfirst into a mud puddle. The farm ducks all laughed. Ha ha ha, what a mess. They're not very nice, are they? You can be different and it's still okay, right? But he tripped. He was happy and he tripped and then he made a big mess. And everybody laughed at him. So that's kind of embarrassing. Huh. The mother duck tried to help him. "Leave him alone," she said. "He may not be pretty, but he's gentle and brave." But the other ducks rolled about laughing. Ha ha ha, what a clumsy clock, what an ugly duckling. Other animals came over to see what the joke was, and when they saw the hens, and when the hens saw the big duckling, they laughed too, and so did the pigs and the sheep and the cow and the horse. The duckling looked all around at the laughing animals and frowned. "I don't belong here," and he said, and he ran out of the farmyard and across the fields. Look at those guys. They're all laughing. That you can laugh with somebody, but you should not laugh at them. And look down here. This is where he's running away. Out of the farmyard. I would too. The duckling ran on and on until he came to the great marsh where the wild ducks lived. He was tired and he sat down to rest in a clump of reeds. "I know I'm not little, yellow, and fluffy like my brothers and sisters," he said to himself, But I'm me. I may be scruffy and gray, and I may have big black feet, but I'm as good as they are. 3 wild ducks were flying past and saw him sitting in the reeds. Look, there's a mumbling duckling with big feet, said one, and they all laughed. The duckling looked up and stuck his tongue out at him. He didn't care. The wild ducks flew away, laughing loudly. See you again, Flipperfeet, they called. I'll show them, said the duckling. And he fell asleep, and he dreamed he was with the other ducklings, just like himself. But suddenly, bang, bang, bang! The duckling awoke with a start, and men were shooting at the ducks all around. Look what happened. So he's there, and look at the men with the guns. They're shooting those ducks in the air, the wild ducks. And the dog, see that when they shoot and they hit one of the ducks and it falls to the ground, and the dog comes and it picks it up and brings it back to its master. That's why the dog's there. He put his wings over his head and tried to hide, but then something came rushing towards him through the marsh, a huge dog with a big red tongue and sharp teeth. The duckling jumped into a pool and hid under the water until the dog was gone. I don't belong here, said the duckling. This is a terrible place, and he hurried away from the marsh. Oh my goodness, this doesn't look like a very friendly place. Look at the trees. It's a road, but all the trees look like they got faces and mouths. It's kind of scary, huh? As darkness fell, he came to the big wood. Strange noises and shadows seemed to follow him as he waddled along the path through the tall trees. I don't belong here, he whispered. Soon he came to a tumble-down cottage where a light shone from a window. The house belonged to an old woman who lived with her cat and a hen. The duckling was cold, and he was tired, and he could see it was warm inside. So he crept in through a crack in the door. The old woman was pleased to see him. Now I shall have eggs from a duck as well as a hen, she said, and made a place for the duckling by the fire. Ah, there we go. When the old woman went to bed, the cat and the hen cornered the duckling. Uh-oh. Can you lay eggs, said the hen. No, said the duckling, but I can swim. Can you purr, said the cat. No, replied the duckling, but I can dive. Swim and dive indeed. You are no use to our mistress, they said. I don't care, said the duckling, and waddled out of the door and into the night. I don't belong here, he said. Where do you think he belongs? The duckling journeyed on and on over the hills and dales and looking for a place to call home. Eventually, he found a small lake where he lived on his own and no one bothered him. Many weeks passed and the leaves on the trees turned from green to brown, and the days were shorter and the duckling shivered through the long night. It was summertime and then it became fall. Look at, so this is what they mean about hills and dales. You see the little hills and how it goes down where the sheep are? Those are the dales, hills and dales. One evening as the sun was setting, he heard a strange sound in the sky, and he looked up to see a flock of the most beautiful birds. They were magically white with great outstretched wings and long graceful necks. One of them gave a strange cry that he seemed to understand, and he wished he could go with them. So, first of all, this is where it was getting cold, right, at night, and he was shivering. And then down at the bottom, it's when he heard those beautiful birds, those beautiful white birds in the sky, and he understood what their quacking was. He understood their language. Soon the cold winds of winter blew, and the lake where the duckling lived began to freeze. He swam around and around to keep warm, but the water froze around his feet, and he stuck fast. Oh no, this is dangerous. Look, there were the beautiful birds, but now look at, can you see? You see him in the pond, and now he's going to be stuck in the water because it froze. Nice ice cubes, like if your feet were in a pot of ice and then it froze. Oh. The next morning, a kind farmer passed by and saw the duckling. He smashed the ice and carried the frozen bird home and put him by the fire to warm up. The duckling felt happy and safe, but when the farmer's children came home, they were noisy and they frightened him. I think it's around like Christmas time or something. So there's a lot of activity, and kids, your kids, you guys are noisy, but it frightened the poor bird. He flapped his wings to try to get away from them and knocked over a bowl of milk. Their mother tried to catch him, but he flew into a butter tub, and then he fell into the flour barrel. Milk, butter, flour spilled all over the floor. The farmer shouted, the mother shouted, the children shouted too. I don't belong here, said the duckling, and he ran out the door. Goodness. Okay. On and on he ran through the snow until he could run no further, and then he curled up in a hollow and he slept for the rest of the long, cold winter. Well, at least he found a place he could sleep. Who do you see? Where's the moon? Who's in the sky? Do you see the face of the man in the moon? What else do you see? Do you see reindeer? Do you see Santa Claus? So now you know what the date is, December 25th. Christmas. Oh, there's a snowman too. He woke beside a large lake with the sun on his back and the lark singing overhead. Spring had come at last. The grass was green, there was blossom on the trees, and he was feeling much stronger. He wandered down to the water and he swam away from the bank. He was enjoying himself when behind some tall rushes sailed 3 beautiful white birds he had seen flying so high, and they were coming towards him. He thought they were going to call him names as most animals did, so he puffed himself up, ready for them, but instead they greeted him warmly. Hello, brother. Are you new to these parts? Look at these beautiful birds. What kind of birds are those? They're swans. So maybe he's not a duck. Maybe he's a swan. The ugly duckling thought they were talking to someone else, and he bowed his head in confusion. Then he saw his reflection in the still water. He was no longer scruffy, gray, or clumsy. He was big and white and graceful, And just like those beautiful birds who were talking to him, "What am I?" he said to the 3 swans. Look at that. That's who we're talking about right now. That's what he turned into, a beautiful swan. He was not a duckling. He was always a swan. "Why, you're a swan, and a very handsome one, too," they replied. A swan? A swan? I'm not an ugly duckling. I'm a swan," he cried. The duckling swan lived happily ever after. The 3 older swans became his best friend, and they swam and they flew everywhere. Look! They flew over a castle. They flew over a boat in the river, or is that the sea? They flew everywhere together, and he was never alone again. He had swan friends, and he knew he was beautiful and strong, and he was happy to belong. Oh, one day he was flying over the riverbank when he saw his mother and a new family of ducklings, every one a duck this time. He flew down and he told his story. She was delighted with his good fortune and very proud of him. And from then on, whenever she saw a swan flying high above her in the sky, she would say to her ducklings, or anyone else who would listen, "That's probably my son up there." So isn't that cool? Look at Mama Duck. Look at Mama Duck. So that was so sweet. Oh, look, he made a heart in the sky for Mama Duck. Because he really appreciated how much she loved him and how she took care of him when everybody else was making fun. Even there's a bunny. What else is there? What is that? I can't see because let me see. What is that? Are they just big brown bunnies and a little bunny? And the ducks and the mama. Oh, I like that. Anyone that would listen, that's probably my son up there. And so that's the end of the story. Uh-oh, that wind's blowing again. What's going to happen to that chicken and her eggs, huh? I guess that's for another day. And this book was called The Ugly Duckling. Love you guys. I love you so much. This was fun. See, it took like almost 25 minutes. Okay. Bye. See ya.